Spacevidcast, episode 234.
Yeah.
Wow.
I know, it's weird.
We're getting up there. It's November 6th, 2009. My name is Benjamin Higginbotham. With me is the beautiful, lovely, wonderful, and talented Carrie Ann Higginbotham. And of course, joining us live, we will have in the later part of the show, Jerry Carr, who was an astronaut aboard the Skylab 4 mission. And he was up there for quite a while. And for those of you who know me fairly well, I'm a huge fan of Skylab. And when we had Cy Lieber got on earlier, we had a little bit of a conversation about that, because he was the Eagle for the Skylab program as well.
There you go.
But before we get into that, first I think we should start off the show correctly with some space news. Space news. China's, no, it's just our speakers.
Oh, okay, good.
No, it's all messed
That's
up
good.
on our side.
Awesome.
You know, I'm going to give you a little behind-the-scenes sneak peek for this show, because we don't honor daylight savings time. So this show is an hour earlier than we would normally have it for any other show out there. We have like serious Skype issues today. We have got cam twist issues because I'm running a beta build like I always do. It's my own dumb fault. We've got, I mean, name a technical issue, it's happened thus far on the show. And I know we're faking it fairly well, but I'm pretty sure the tech gods are looking down on us and going, ha ha ha, destroy them. And we're going to have something else happen in the show. It's going to be fun. But let's start off with China's Rocket King dies.
Yeah, so, well, he's sort of the father of the space boom in China.
Well, every major program has one of those.
A Rocket King?
A rocket, well, kind of, yeah. I mean, Russia had theirs, we had ours, and China has theirs.
Well, yeah, no, I know. It sounded kind of funny. It's not an official term by any
Rocket
stretch.
King?
Right.
That's not his official title?
Rocket Man. Oh, yeah, no. So he died at 98. It really, other than the fact that he died.
98, wow.
98 years old. He actually trained here in the U.S. and then went back to China and created like nuclear bombs.
Well,
so
then.
We have him to thank for that.
Whoopsie doopers.
But he did a lot of really amazing things, and as far as I can tell, it was all natural causes and all that other stuff. Although it is China, so maybe they're lying. I have no idea. But yeah, no. So, but it's kind of sad that Werner von Braun just died, and we've had a lot of people this year that were really big in the space.
You're trying to think of someone else, and I'm trying to figure out who you're thinking of to help you out, but I can't.
Yeah, but there's a lot of people, in the space industry that were forefathers, really, when you think about it, who've died this year.
Well, keep in mind, a good chunk of our space industry was born in the 60s. I mean,
they were born in the 60s?
No. Our space industry was born in the 60s.
I see, yes.
So, even the space industry itself is starting to get a little bit older. And then we just kind of dumped all that knowledge and said, let's start over. So, anyhow. The space. Do you have any? Moving on, the space elevator games. Do we have an official answer on that?
Well, not official, because they're still going on tomorrow as well.
Oh, well, there you go. But we know that someone has won at least the $900,000 prize.
Laser Motive has completed or qualified for the $900,000 prize, which is a very big deal.
Now, and that is, there are a couple different tiers to this, much like the Northrop Grumman Lunar Lander Challenge. The idea is you've got to build essentially a robot that's going to go up this rope, this space elevator thing.
A tether.
Tether, thank you. That's the word I was looking for.
No
English
problem.
is good. And it needs to move at least 2...
I think it was 5.
No, that's for the big prize.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
What is it, 2 kilometers a minute?
It might be 2 kilometers a minute.
I'm looking for the...
I know, I'm looking for the answer too. Keep just talking.
It has to move at a certain speed. I think it's 2 kilometers per second. That's really fast. That's really, really fast.
Yeah.
Or 5. Hey, look it up. Figure out
it
what
was 5 kilometers.
No, there's a 5 one as well, or 2. They didn't qualify for the 5. 2 meters per second.
Thank you.
2 meters per second makes a lot more sense. I'm like, 2 kilometers per second. I don't think so. 2 meters per second.
But wouldn't that be cool?
And so that's one of the prizes that they've qualified for. Now, they got really, really close to the 5 meters per second prize, but they didn't quite make it. It was like 4.8 or something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah, and so that's...
And, you know, the whole thing is very, very reminiscent of the Northrop Grumman Lunar Lander Challenge, especially this particular year, because you've got the university team, so it's a team of students, and they're from Canada, and then you've got sort of the underdog guys who are the Kansas City Pirates, Space Pirates, KCSP. And they're kind of doing it sort of like on their off time. It's really more their hobby. And then you've got Laser Motive, who this is all that they do.
They're the armadillo.
This is what they do, kind of thing. So it's a really interesting dynamic to sort of see how, you know, like the Kansas City Space Pirates didn't have, they had so many issues on Wednesday that I don't think they did anything. I keep saying fly in my head, but because I'm just so used to NGLC. But I didn't think they even got a chance to go up. And then, on top of that, there was today, which I know for some people is already Friday, but you don't understand what I'm saying, that they had some more issues and they didn't qualify for anything. So then there's also tomorrow, geosynchronous orbit, as you guys are asking. Then there's tomorrow. So there's still a couple things in play. There's still a USST, the all-student team has yet to go or has yet to qualify for anything. So it's still kind of neck and neck to a certain extent, but there's still like the David and the Goliath and...
Yep, well, they're all underdogs. I mean, this is...
Oh, absolutely.
Every one of them is underdogs, but then even inside of that, you've got kind of the different tiers of people there. It's really cool tech because the power, as they're mentioning in the chat room, the power source can't be on board. And so they've got to find the way to put the power source on the planet or somewhere else and then move this thing up.
What they're calling is
lasers.
Power beaming.
Power beaming.
And there's two different completely different competitions to this encased in the one competition. So there's the power beaming thing, which is what we're doing now, and then there's the actual working on the tether with the nanotubes and all of that other stuff. And that's a whole nother bag of worms. But this particular challenge is the power beaming challenge, and so that's what we're kind of referring to.
It's really cool stuff. If they're able to pull this off, this could really bring the cost of getting objects into orbit or into space at least, drive that cost way, way down, because a good chunk of the energy required for us to get into space is exerted right here on the Earth. It's once you're in space, you can do a heck of a lot more. So get that elevator going up to some sort of orbiting space station, and off you go.
There you go.
That'd be pretty awesome stuff. Our galaxy in megapixels. Check out this picture. I think it's called Galaxy, Kath.
Yeah.
It's epic.
It's okay, and there's This is pieced together over 3,000 individual photographs. 3,000 individual photographs, okay? And the panorama is about 1,000 times more faint than the human eye, what the human eye can see. It took this guy 22 months and traveled over 26,000 miles to take digital photographs of dark sky locations in South Africa, Texas, Michigan, etc., etc. And then he went through and hand-edited every single one of the photographs so that it would look cohesive when he put it all together.
Can you believe that?
Oh, yeah, no, I can't.
And this doesn't even begin, I mean, you guys, this is even remotely the resolution that the...
Well, he also used data from Pioneer 10 and Pioneer 11. It's okay, the big one, the really big one that he wants to make is he wants to make a giant 648 megapixel image available to planetariums around the world. Can you imagine? How it's jaw-dropping as far as I'm concerned.
You need a "you are here" arrow.
It wouldn't show up. I mean, who are you kidding?
Yeah,
you are in this general vicinity.
Yeah, and if you go to the website, you know, and I don't have the website handy. Do you know what it is?
That's his direct website, so you can go, and it's actually an interactive picture. So you can kind of click over here and click over there and sort of zoom in, zoom out, and all of that other fun stuff.
That was awesome. I mean, it's
crazy.
I need that. What I want. That should be, we've been trying to figure out what to use for our background. That should be our background. That's what we should have back there.
I'm so excited.
I'm so excited.
I'm not even half of a pixel, dude. Like, really? No,
oh,
I'm not even that much.
that thing's just really cool. Northrop Grumman Lunar Lander Challenge update really quick. It's pretty much the same as last week, isn't it?
Yeah, well, but they had the ceremony today. I figured we were going to grab pictures from the ceremony, the great big checks, that whole thing, but apparently we didn't do that, so never mind. Maston still won and Armadillo still won, and everybody's happy and they got really big checks. It was very cool.
I want a really big check.
They actually weren't as big as I thought they were going to be.
Really?
Yeah, I think the check that Armadillo got last year was bigger than the checks that Maston got this year. I mean, just, obviously not money-wise, but the actual physical checks.
Physical size?
Yeah, like the ones this year.
Environmentally friendly.
Yeah, the ones this year were like this, and the ones last year were like this.
Wow.
So, I'm just saying.
Gotta go talk to Peter. Be like, what's going on?
If you're going to have big checks, you might as well go all out with the big check.
When we come back, we've got a live interview with Skylab. Well, Skylab.
He did more than just Skylab.
Well, yeah, he was Capcom for Apollo 8 and Apollo 14, if memory serves correct. He was on Skylab, commander of Skylab 4, and they're brilliant.
There you go, Jerry Carr.
And we'll have a live interview with him via the phone when we come back.
Hello and welcome to the Crow River Coffee Company in Watertown, Minnesota. Situated on the bank of the beautiful Crow River, we offer espresso drinks, delicious food, live music, bulk beans, and artisan items. You can see us at crowrivercoffee.com. Thanks!
For the eyes of the world, now look into space. As one world says for man, one giant leap for mankind. There seems to be no difficulty in moving around this.
So, welcome to the first ever edited SpaceVidcast live. Isn't
Right.
that awesome? Welcome
is.
back from break. We had Jerry Carr on the line, but with the Around the World in 84 Days book, which is our copy, has clearly been marked up and worked on.
Because I was reading it. You can get it at apogeebooks.com.
And we will certainly have Jerry on the show in the future. However, unfortunately, due to unforeseen technical issues, he won't be with us live tonight. However, we do have Rick Hanton. Hanton. Well, yeah, but the R is at the end of his screen name.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Who's joining us, who is a SpaceVidcaster who will also be... Rick, what's your role in SpaceVision, by the way?
I have no actual role in SpaceVision.
That's fantastic.
No. He is the SpaceVidcast liaison to SpaceVision 2009.
Brilliant. I love it. We'll have to get him business cards. So SpaceVision is a SEDS conference coming up later this next week, is it not?
Yes.
Or is it the week after?
No,
this next week?
No, it's this next week, yep.
And so what can people expect to see at SpaceVision 09?
People can expect to see all kinds of different people. We've got Peter Diamandis, I know, is going to Skype into us, hopefully. Awesome. We've got a few people who are dropping out due to the flu.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Little H1N1? Or the worst one, H2N2?
I'm not exactly sure. But I know one of our favorite guys, the director of NASA Ames Research Center, is stepping out to do that. But there's a whole ton of other people, so it should be pretty awesome.
And I just want to let you know that you did, in fact, steal our guest for next week out from under my nose because he's going to be speaking at SpaceVision.
And not on SpaceVidcast. Thanks for that. That's great.
Although, if he is speaking at SpaceVision in the main room and Rick does get everything like all set up, he will be speaking on SpaceVidcast, just not to me.
Right, and that's one of the things we're working on is if you're able to, we'll have some of the SpaceVision broadcast live on spacevidcast.com through you.
Yeah, that's the plan. We're hoping to kind of tap into your feed, as it were.
So who all can go to SpaceVision? Is it SEDS members only? Can anyone show up? Any schmuck off the street? Or who all is allowed to
Well, they invited us, so yes.
Who all is allowed to actually attend?
Well, the main majority of people there is SEDS members, of course. Mm-hmm. But anybody can attend. Registration's a lot higher for people that don't happen to be SEDS members, but there's reduced registration if you're a member of some of the other space societies, so that's kind of nice. And if you're a student, it's also way reduced. So nice. We're hoping to get a lot of students and a lot of SEDS members and maybe some schmucks off the street.
There you go.
What's the cost to actually attend?
The cost right now, I'd have to almost check. The cost to attend just went up the other day. So, if you're trying to register right now, I'm sorry. They went up just because we're getting so close. So right now, I'm looking at the cost. It's $20 for SEDS students, and I think most of those people have already signed up. And then $70 for affiliates. So people from organizations like the Space Frontier Foundation, mm-hmm. National Space Society, American Astronautical
Society.
Yeah, that's the one. And then for pretty much everybody else, it's $90. So. That's kind of pricey, but we've got some pretty awesome people. So I don't know how much was the conference over the summer.
The ISDC one?
Yeah, for the Joe Schmo off the street.
I don't remember. It was more than that, though.
I know. Yeah, it gets pretty pricey. So it's a good deal.
No, absolutely, and especially if you get to see. Do you know if the Peter Diamandis Skype interview will be a two-way thing, or is he just going to be speaking? Do you have any idea how that's going to work? Because Peter Diamandis, for those who don't know, is kind of a big. He's kind of a big deal.
Yeah, he's one of those people that we try to get into SpaceVision. I think kind of the going rate is he tries to come in person every 2 years, but we actually landed right on top of a Singularity University event, so he couldn't do it. So, but anyhow, he will Skype in, and we usually have video from us to him and from him to us, so it's great. I don't know how much of that will kind of end up in the SpaceVidcast feed, but I'll see what I can do.
So just,
it would be great if we could Skype SpaceVision's Skype with Peter Diamandis.
Oh, that would hurt my head.
It would be awesome.
Wow, I would start bleeding. Yeah,
you'd probably break the Skype.
Probably.
So I mean, you've been a SpaceVidcaster for a while. You've actually been one of the few elite who have been to the Spacevidcast.
Yeah, I think other than our family members, ourselves, and Cav,
I think
it's
only
Rick.
Rick, who's been
Rick
to the
is the only
studio,
other one.
who's actually been to the studio. So how did you get, first off, how did you get involved in Spacevidcast? Where did you find us, and how did that all happen?
Where did I find SpaceVidcast? I almost don't remember where I found
He lost,
SpaceVidcast.
he lost a bet.
I don't know. Terrible,
Yeah.
terrible day.
Don't make me remember
God.
that.
Oh, God, it's so horrible.
Well, regardless of how you found us, why have you stayed with us?
Yeah, exactly. What are you thinking?
Well, I'm going to do a little, what is that? Customer appreciation?
Oh, yeah,
Customer-
We just have 4 quick questions for you. For a quick survey.
I can send a dozen
Are you
roses
happy
for
with
you
your
anywhere you
SpaceVidcast?
like.
Are
Yeah.
you happy with your SpaceVidcast service to this date?
Yeah, I'm pretty happy with my service to this date. I'm a paid member, so now that I actually have a job for once in my life, I felt like I should give you a little something for your time and your whatever it is, $3,000 cameras and good stuff like that. So.
And we do appreciate that. And actually, here's a little secret. For those of you who've been paying attention to the website, we're going to be releasing Epic in 2010.
You didn't use the voice.
Epic.
Thank you.
In 2010, and anyone who had been donating up to the badge, so prior to the badge showing up on the website, prior to November 1st, essentially 2009, anyone who had been donating or giving us the donation, you're going to get a little advanced preview and a little thank you from us for
Little
making
something,
things happen.
something, as
Little
it were.
Something on the backside.
Did you want to tell them what EPIC stands for?
Nope, not yet. But
All
we'll do
right.
that in post-show. So if you're watching live, you'll actually see what EPIC is beforehand. But otherwise, to figure out what EPIC is, you're going to have to wait until 2010 or join us live. We're not going to actually tell you until then.
Well then.
There's another way to do it, I think. I don't know if
there
you want
is.
me to
Don't tell
that.
anybody. Just shh, shh. I already thought of that too. I was like, really? What about this website? Anyway, go on. So
So you're
EPIC.
letting all the information. Okay. Well, anyhow, going on from that, I kind of I found you guys and had a good time and found out you were in Minnesota, which is awesome. You know, good old Minnesotans like myself. Even though I'm down in Iowa.
Boo.
I won't hold
And-
it against you, but he will.
Yeah. But I liked you guys. I liked the whole idea. I liked the mission of SpaceVidcast. So I felt like I'd help out however I could, which isn't too much. But I try and donate a little money, give you the subtitles once in a while. I was just working on it before the show. I just got to minute 29 of the Cy Libregat show.
Oh,
So
you're not even.
That,
There's another hour to go.
That's impressive, because that was a long one.
he talks slow though, so it's good.
This is true, but
I
you
don't.
definitely said a
And Ben
lot.
talks slow because he's thinking about his questions.
Right, there you
Good job,
go.
Ben.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's funny.
So.
I'm out.
Okay. Well, all right. So, but to recap, we've got SEDSVision. We've got Space.
SEDSVision.
It's the SEDS conference, SpaceVision 09, going on November. I want to say 12th through 15th. Is that correct?
Yes, the 12th through the 15th.
Perfect. And if we can, we are counting on you to make sure that everyone else in SpaceVidcast can get a little insight to see what goes on over there. I know there's actually some people in our chat room. I know Arma, there's a couple other people I know of who had not heard of SEDS, but were trying to become SEDS members since we started talking about SEDS earlier this year. So I just think that would be another way that we could recruit, exactly, SEDS is the Student for Exploration and Development of Space, which I think is a great thing, sort of the concept of get them young. Might as well get them interested.
Awkward.
Okay, really? Anyway, but we'll have it, hopefully we'll have it on SpaceVidcast. You'll be able to see it right here, at least part of it.
How'd you
Yeah,
become a space geek?
How'd you become a space geek?
I'm not quite sure.
He lost
It's
a bet.
mostly SED's fault. I came into Iowa State University where I go to school, and I had done a little quick project in physics class about aerodynamics a little bit, very, very, very simple, and so I figured I'd go into aerospace engineering. What the heck? And then I was checking out different clubs my freshman year, and I happened across this club called the Iowa State Space Society. So I was like, yeah, these guys are kind of cool. They shoot rockets. What's not to like about blowing things up?
Exactly.
And so I would go to their meetings once in a while, and I happened to go to the meeting where they were electing new people to run the club for the next year. And at that meeting, there was about 4 or 5 people. And so those
So everyone there got elected.
Yeah, so that was basically the case, and it still happens to this day. You know, I can try and bring in more and more people, but you know, you only do so good.
Right.
So so there was 4 or 5 people, and I was the little freshman sitting in back, and my friend now Tabrina, who actually works at Rockwell Collins with me too. Now she's actually got a full-time job. She said, "Hey, you kid in the back, we want." You should do something. Why don't you be our treasurer, which happens to be the highest, basically the power job in the club, how things are set up. So
let's give it to the kid nobody knows, no one's ever heard of before.
You want to be president? Yeah, okay.
Well, yeah. We have a president, but the treasurer is really the one with the power. The president can't, even sign to make money move or anything. It's all goes through the treasurer. So I started doing that and slowly figured out my way. She was really helpful, but figured out what I was doing with that because it's kind of a tough thing. I'm trying to make the new guy now do what I did for years, and it's tough. So I ran the money, and I kind of started picking up a little bit of roles, doing different things, messing with the website in my free time, stuff like that. And then it got to the point where she left and she went to work at NASA. And so there was nobody actually running the club. And she left a friend in charge who's an art major and wasn't really big on being in charge. And so I just kind of took the reins a little bit as she was technically in charge. And kind of, got to know. I started going to SpaceVisions, which was really cool.
Somebody in the chat room says you're also running for chair of SEDS USA. Is that correct?
This is correct.
Wow, good person.
Hey.
That was my decision from last weekend. Yeah, I don't know. We're trying to. My thought was we're trying to get the leadership switched up a little bit. So, I figured I might as well give my due time.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, absolutely. We're rooting for you, mostly because you're a Spacevidcaster. So, I mean, obviously you should be elected in, just based on that.
Right.
I mean, that alone.
Yeah, definitely.
You should write that on your platform, too. And I watch Spacevidcast. Therefore.
I actually did. I did write that in my platform. I was like, I started hanging out with these crazy guys from Spacevidcast. Or at least it was one iteration. I don't know if it's still there.
Eventually got edited out, but I did put it in there at one time.
So a couple people in the chat room had mentioned that they started or are working to start their own SEDS chapter based on something that they heard here. So let's say there is someone watching the live video or an on-demand video. What would you tell them to do to start their own SEDS chapter? Or how do they find out more about SEDS?
Well, at the present time, at least until the conference next week, and possibly after the conference next week, because I applied again to my same position, but they basically can talk to me. Because right now I'm working as the expansion chair for SEDS USA, and so the basically starting a chapter is not terribly hard. The real trick is that they kind of need to start a chapter at their university or their high school or wherever, and then get that going, make it official there. And then once they do that, they can come to me and say, hey, I want to do this and be official and be recognized and be part of the national group. And we say,
put
sure.
The SEDS.org in the chat room. And so I assume that they can find you, Rick, through SEDS.org. Is that correct?
Yes, you can find me through SEDS.org. It's my email is actually expansion@SEDS.org.
Well
then.
They can just shoot an email
That's
there.
a lofty goal, don't you think?
Hopefully don't spam me too much. We got enough spam bots.
You know what?
This crowd, no.
I think you should be the chair of SpaceVidcast expansion project. We'll set up an email, expansion@spacevidcast.com, and we'll have it forward to expansion@seds.org. It'll be great. And you should help us expand SpaceVidcast into realms otherwise not seen.
He's already our SpaceVision liaison.
There's liaison. That is absolutely
It's
true.
French.
All right, well, Rick, stay with us.
I'm actually working with French guys right now.
We're going to close out this show. Next week we have got Rick.
Really?
Robert.
It's Godwin, even though Ben likes to call him Goodwin.
Wow, I couldn't.
Don't know why.
I'm so flustered, I couldn't do it.
Apparently, we have Robert Godwin, who my understanding is he's the president. Is that correct? Of Apogee Books.
He runs the thing.
Okay, he runs apogeebooks.com, which you've heard us talk about a couple of times. But they're the ones who are helping us get these books and get the writers of the books, much like Cy Liebergott and Jerry Carr.
Absolutely, and he'll be on next week because it will be the Apollo 12 40-year anniversary coming up shortly, and we'll be giving away a copy of each one of those books, and they've got some other really cool stuff coming out. So that's going to be a really cool episode because you're going to see a lot of really neat stuff Apollo 12-wise. That you'll be able to get through apogeebooks.com. And you know, just a huge thank you to Apogee for helping Spacevidcast set all this stuff up. And you know, they go out of their way to make our lives as easy as possible and get some really incredible guests in front of us. And we've got the rest of the year, they're pretty much filling up with really, really awesome guests, astronauts, people who have been in the Apollo program, the current program, the Skylab program. It doesn't matter, all across the board. They're helping us a great deal. And if you're a space geek and you like to read, and I assume most space geeks do like to read.
Well, they are asking in the room if the DVD or CD in the back of the books, if that is the audio version of the book. It's not. It's actually extra material. In the case of one, it's movies and images, and in the case of the other, I'm not quite sure because it's backwards. But I'm sure it's probably more movies and images. These two books happen to be the NASA Mission Reports, Volume 1 and 2. From Apollo 12, and then on top of that are the, yes, exactly, bonus features of movies and audio from those missions.
By the way, there have been bonus discs in every book that we've featured here on Spacevidcast from Apogee. The first one from Cy Liebergott, you actually saw some of the, you heard some of the audio from the his loop, from Cy's loop, during the Apollo 13 crisis. That was in the book. I mean, that's the CD in the back of the book.
And it was like 14 hours or something ridiculous like that?
It's an insane amount of audio. It's a really, really long loop, and it's really hard not to listen to. It's kind of cool.
Fascinating.
Sometimes I'll just play it in my office in the background. It makes me feel cool. And then Around the World in 84 Days, there's actually a DVD in the back of this, and it's got some Skylab footage on there, some training footage that has Jerry Carr in there. It's really neat. So all of their books, at least all of them thus far, have got not just the book part, but then associated media that's quite incredible and fascinating to watch. So if you're a space nerd, just regardless of the book, go over to apogeebooks.com because they are designed for space geeks. That's what they're there for. Much like Blastoff Blend.
I don't know.
They're kind of the book blend of
book blend.
Book blend.
All right.
Thank you guys so much for watching. And reminder, I know you guys tuned in live correctly this time, but if you're watching this on demand, we're an hour earlier before if you honor daylight savings time. If you don't honor daylight savings time, same time as before. Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you next week for the Apollo 12 40th anniversary.
I'm not very good at singing songs, but here's a try. If you wish to make an apple pie from scratch, you must first invent the universe. Space is filled with a network of wormholes. You might emerge somewhere else in space, somewhere else in time. The sky calls to us. If we do not destroy ourselves, we will one day venture to the stars. A still more glorious dawn awaits, not a sunrise, but a galaxy rise. A morning filled with 400 billion suns. The rising of the Milky Way. The cosmos is full beyond measure. Elegant truths of exquisite interrelationships of the awesome machinery of nature. I believe our future depends powerfully on how well we understand this cosmos, in which we float like a mote of dust in the morning sky.
But the brain does much more than just recollect. It intercompares, it synthesizes, analyzes, it generates abstractions.
The simplest thought, like the concept of the number one, has an elaborate logical underpinning. The brain has its own language for testing the structure and consistency of the world. A still more glorious dawn awaits, not a sunrise, but a galaxy rise. A morning filled with 400 billion suns. The rising of the Milky Way. The sky calls to us.
If we do not destroy ourselves, we will one day venture to the stars.
For thousands of years, people have wondered about the universe. Did it stretch out forever, or was there a limit? From the Big Bang to black holes, from dark matter to a possible Big Crunch, our image of the universe today is full of strange sounding ideas.
How lucky we are to live in this time, the first moment in human history when we are, in fact, visiting other worlds. A still more glorious dawn awaits, not a sunrise, but a galaxy rise. A morning filled with 400 billion suns. The rising of the Milky Way. A still more glorious dawn awaits, not a sunrise, but a galaxy rise. A morning filled with 400 billion suns. The rising of the Milky Way. The surface of the Earth is the shore of a cosmic ocean. Recently we've waded a little way up, and the water seems inviting.